Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining Freshworks Refresh 2021. I'm super excited to be here with you today to talk a little bit more about Snapcommerce's journey with Freshworks throughout COVID. With some cool integrations, we were able to automate a ton of our ticket volume to ultimately get a travel company through a major crisis. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Allie, and I'm the Director of Customer Experience at Snapcommerce. In my role, I manage all of our customer operations as well as some internal processes. This makes me no stranger to ticketing systems such as Freshdesk, which we've been using for about 2 years. Prior to this, I spent some time at Uber Eats. In fact, I launched a lot of cities, potentially yours, and I actually did some time in management consulting, also working in very customer-facing industries. So who is Snapcommerce? We're building a new way to shop that maximizes savings, benefits, and rewards on mobile. We started our journey in the travel space. 5 years ago, we launched a travel product that was meant to help everyone anywhere in the world save money on the hotels they loved globally. We did this through a messaging platform. So all our guests text message us, WhatsApp us. They're a communication channel of choice. We've had over 100 million messages and 2 million users since that time period. Because the travel industry was such a success, we decided why stop there? We're now building a fintech product, a digital wallet and credit card, which we're referring to as Snap Money, and we can sell goods online at our storefront called Snapshop. The unifying theme behind all three of these product lines is that we work really hard to save our customers the most money we can on the products they love. We want to build an ecosystem where everyone can find what they need at affordable, everyday pricing. Travel was our main business back in 2020 when COVID first struck. During this time, we had a few different difficulties that we ran into. First of all, most of our customers wanted to cancel their reservations, as you can imagine. We had over $6 million of canceled reservations. No one could get on planes anymore. Hotels were closing. Different restrictions put in place meant that the whole world was in a state of uncertainty. And the first thing people were giving up were their travel reservations. To counter that, unfortunately, we also had to let go a lot of our staff. A lot of our agent base who would be helping these customers process cancellations, we just didn't have enough stability for, enough ticket volume for, as bookings fell, to manage to keep in place. Then, to further complicate it, the refund process that we went through was painful and cumbersome, with a lot of moving parts. Here's a deep dive on that refund process. First of all, any guest, such as myself or you, would come to Snap Travel and say, hey, I'm not going to use this booking anymore. Can I please get a refund? In the back end, we would have to check with the hotel and our inventory partners to make sure that was okay. The way the flow of money works is that the customer paid us, but then we would have to pay the hotel and our partners. And everyone along that chain had to be satisfied with giving up the money or returning the money to the customer. Otherwise, one person would bill another who couldn't bill another, and it just became a tangled mess. Unfortunately, that process in the back could take anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. And you can imagine that during that time, customers really wanted updates. Like we said, the world was in huge flux. No one had any certainty. There was a lot going on. So people would message us every day wondering if they were getting a refund or not. After we had talked to all our partners, luckily we were able to confirm more refunds than not, so we would have good news at the end of this process. However, there were still people who we'd have to alert that the hotel didn't approve a refund charge, and we'd have to compensate them in some other way. So sometimes this worked out, more often than not, this worked out for the customer, but often it was a long road and maybe not even that happy. Pretty early on in COVID, we realized that we needed a solution that helped us scale this process effectively. We needed to keep customers updated on their refund and travel status, They wanted as many updates as we could give them to help build that sense of trust and reassurance. We also needed to know the state of our financials. At any given point, we needed to know how much money was at what point in the refund process, and then how much we had let go of, how much we'd made exceptions for, what we were recouping. You can imagine that our investors and our CEO looked at these metrics quite frequently and needed as accuracy as a key input. Then finally, we needed to process these in bulk. A lot of our customers were reaching out, as I mentioned, $6 million in cancellations. And there were only like 3 of us at headquarters processing these. So individual attention, as much as we wanted to give that, was really not an option. We had to do bulk updates, bulk ticket changes, everything to make this a bit more streamlined so that we could handle all the requests as they came through. We had always been working with Freshdesk, but Neo was new to us, and Neo proved to be the answer. Through Neo, we were able to build some pretty cool integrations and different API calls that helped us really make this process a success. The way it worked was that customers would submit their refund through the feedback widget. They filled out a quick form, said, hey, this is the booking I'd like to cancel. Please help me out. Freshworks' Neo platform would then power APIs that helped pull all the ticket stats and enable tracking. So in the background, a lot of magic was working that we didn't even have to think about. Then we plugged our integrations into the ticket automations, which took care of all the back-end updating, heavy lifting, updating the customers about the status of their refunds, asking them to remain patient, thanking them for their patience, you name it. To look into that a little bit deeper, here's how it worked. So the first thing would happen is a customer request. Really interestingly, we would connect that customer request to Freshdesk and our own customer database. For instance, let's say someone requested to cancel their trip to Miami, and they inputted their order number, but unfortunately had a typo and their order number was off by 1 digit. In our integration and webhooks, we were able to realize that that wasn't the right booking number for that person. And as such, we sent them back a note asking them to try again. This ensured data privacy, data validation, and making sure that we weren't canceling someone else's trip to Paris accidentally due to a typo. In connecting our databases, we also were able to connect to our financial figures and numbers. This is how we were able to tie finances to ticket status and vice versa. And at any given point, we knew the value of our outstanding balances as well as the value of our resolved and closed cases. We used the Freshdesk platform and ticket statuses to get a lot of different analytics as well to understand our own workflows. How many had we processed? What were in each stage? Were we getting faster as processing things as COVID advanced? And really used it to help justify what type of experience we were providing for our customers. For example, if 98% of people were getting refunded, that was fantastic. Even better if they were doing it in under 2 weeks. Time periods where it was a little bit slower, we worked to remedy that. And we got all those insights from our analytics. As I mentioned before, we also used our automations, and the automations are really what powered customer communications. So we'd go right back to that feedback widget request where they submitted their email and their original ticket. And on that, we would respond with, congratulations, we've secured you a refund, or thank you so much for your patience. We're doing our best in the background. Please stay tuned, and then hopefully followed by a refund when applicable. All in all, these integrations really helped with end-to-end visibility across the whole process. If you look at the snapshot at the bottom, that's just an example of some data that we would pull and look at on a regular basis. To give you a sense of how important this was, every few hours, we took a snapshot of this and posted it into our company-wide Slack channel. That way, everyone at the company had visibility into the good work we were doing, the status of our customer requests, and also the customer experience that we were providing. One other thing I'd like to call out is you might notice that this picture doesn't look like any other Freshdesk template. It's because through integrations, we were able to export the data from Freshdesk and actually put it in our own business visualization tool so that we could display it in a manner that was familiar to us and one that we knew how to leverage, integrate with our other communication channels, and so forth. I mentioned a lot of automations going out to guests. I cannot tell you how many people we thanked for their patience during these really hard times. We knew that it wasn't fun. We knew that they had to wait to figure out the status of their refund. And we wanted to be as transparent and forthcoming with our customers as possible. So automations are really what helped fuel that. After a ticket was open for a certain extent of time, we sent them a thank you message. After a ticket was open for even more time, we sent them a different, more personalized thank you message. That was only possible because the automations run so seamlessly. We also had this really interesting connection of integrations to automations, where once someone's refund was processed on the back end, that triggered a response in the automations so that we could share the good news with the customer, giving them more insight as to how to access their refund, when they would see it in their bank, and thanking them again for their business. If we had to do these automations one by one, I honestly don't know what we would have done. We probably would have spent a fortune on pure manpower, where people would have had to message people individually, pick up the phone when people called in, chat them individually, or answer any inquiry as it came in. And I don't think that during such a precarious business time, we really would have had the finances to make that investment. So this was huge for us. Here's a sort of double check on our integrations. We built some fancy but easier than they look to build tools that really helped us connect into the platform. So because at any given time, we would process, call it 300 to 800 tickets, we created a bulk tool where we could upload a CSV with all the ticket numbers and the associated changes, put it in this system, which you see right here, the update one. And then within 30 minutes, all of those would be processed and reflected in Freshdesk. That was important because those changes are actually what then inspired automations to trigger, or the tickets to auto-resolve, and help us make sure our ticket hygiene was clean throughout the whole process. No ticket got left behind because everything was done in group. And then we could put processes to check and balance that our bulk updates were done correctly. Again, this saved tons of hours where people didn't have to click a drop down, change a ticket, trigger an automation. Go to the next ticket, click a drop down, change the ticket, trigger an automation. Those tickets may look fancy, but as I said, they were actually quite easy to build. We were pleasantly surprised how easy the Freshworks Neo APIs were to work with and how fast we could spin these up. We spun these up in under 2 weeks, and it wasn't even someone's full-time job, and that included full QA, eng testing, new product design, you name it. To actually use these tools as well, we didn't need much training on the business side, and our engineers didn't have to spend a ton of time reading through all the API docs. Overall, it was as simple as possible, which helped us get more creative with what it is that we tried to build. The outcomes were great. We did process over 15,000 COVID cancellation requests. We got much deeper into our finances, and I can't stress enough how many hours of manual work we were able to save. One of my favorite parts of this whole thing, though, is that we built these tools and they didn't just go away. We've been able to leverage them now for other interesting use cases. Now that we have them, we continue to use them to make our business processes simpler, faster, more error-proof. And on top of that, we're able to build. So now that we have these, we can get even more creative with what it is we do next and how we can design processes to be more effective and efficient. As we continue to experiment with new use cases of the APIs and the webhooks, we continue to take cost out of our business and improve efficiency. That's also helped us scale other business units faster. I mentioned at the beginning that we are trying to really build an ecosystem where our customers can come and save money. We are getting super, super ambitious with that ecosystem. I'm so excited for all the things coming down the line. And Freshdesk, as well as the other products in the Freshworks suite, we can now build against those and customize them so quickly that we can scale up these business units very, very quickly. We actually were able to launch Fresh Chat on a new product line in, I would say, less than 3 weeks, which is super impressive and awesome when you're a startup like us, where moving fast is a cultural value and priority. Again, this was an awesome experience for us. I'm really happy that we learned how to build against the APIs and how to unlock a lot of value. If there's anything I want to share with you as you go back to your own companies, don't be afraid to try this. It's pretty easy to build to the APIs for your own business needs as well. And pretty soon you'll uncover all the value that you can unlock. It was easy, fast, and simple for all teams involved, not just the engineers, but the business side too. The last thing I want to do is spend so much time and energy training my team on how to use this fancy new tool, so much so that we can't even use it because we didn't have time to finish training on it. That wasn't the case here. Everything was pretty intuitive. And once you have those two down, your possibilities are endless. You can really go wherever you want with this to help unlock as much value as you need. With that, I hope I inspired you to try out Freshworks Neo, also to work with your own product and engineering teams to see where you can add value and where you can pull cost out of the business, gain efficiency, and also effectiveness. All in all, this really did wonders for our business, but most importantly for our customers, who we kept happy during a really unsettling and confusing time. If we could make anyone's life a little bit easier by getting them a hotel refund during COVID, I'm really happy that we were able to make that small difference for them and put the customer first. Thank you so much for your time today. Looking forward to meeting you at the conference.